Jaya Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Bihari.
Jaya Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Bihari.
Jaya Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Bihari.
Jaya Gopi Jana Valaka, Jaya Girivara-kari. Jaya Girivara-kari.
Jaya Gopi Jana Ballava, Jaya Girivardhari, Jaya Girivardhari.
Yashodanandana Vraja Jana Rajana.
Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana,
Yamuna Tira Vanachari.
Yamuna Tira Banachari.
Jaya Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Bihari.
Jaya Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Bihari.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Jaya Gurudeva, Jaya Gurudeva, Jaya Gurudeva, Jaya Gurudeva.
Jaya Gurudeva, Jaya Gurudeva, Gurudeva, Jaya Gurudeva.
Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gora Hari Bol.
Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jai. Jai Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga Gandharvika Giridhari Radhika Raman Giriju Ki Jai Ho. Om Agyana Timirandasya Jananjana Salakaya Chakshu and Militamina Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manopistam Stapitamina Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Namo Maha Vandanaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namani Gora Tavashe Namaha Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare 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 Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. First of all, I'd like to offer my heartfelt Puspanjali to the lotus feet of my Harinam Diksha Guru, my everything, Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Second of all, to my Bhajan Shiksha Guru, Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj, and to Bhakti Vigyan Bharati Goswami Maharaj, to entire Guru Parampara, and especially to Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and his Madhurya Kadambini. And today, before I start the Madhurya Kadambini class, I would like to speak a little bit about one of the days that we just celebrated, which was Purnima. And that was Thursday, the 6th the 6th of April, and that's a very, very special day. So I'd like to speak a little bit about the fact that it was Balaram's Rasa Yatra. And here in Vrindavan, that's a very, very special, important day. This is celebrated up the Jamuna. Right now we're in the village of Vrindavan. We're more like the town, city of Vrindavan. And right up the Jamuna, in Ramghat, is where Balaram performed his Ras Leela. Now, what is the Leela here? The Leela is that Krishna, as you know, had left Vrindavan. And all the Brajbasis were feeling so much separation. And not only had he gone to Mathura, but by this time he'd actually gone all the way to Dwarka. He was quite far, and the Brajbasis were they were so much separation, like Yasoda Mai. She was in so much separation, she couldn't even cry anymore. She was just like a dry stick. Because Uddhava had already come. Now Krishna sent Balaram, because he wanted to relieve their agony of separation. So he came, I think it was 2 months or 3 months, I forget exactly how many months he was here. And he was speaking with his mother and father, Rohini Ma, Yasoda, and Nanda Baba. But also he consoled the gopis. And at Ramghat, to relieve their separation, first of all, when he was there, he was speaking with them, joking and laughing. And then, Varunadev, he sent his daughter, Varuni. And Varuni, she came down through the trees, I think it was the Kadamba trees, and she came out like a sap. And Varuni is like an intoxicating beverage, right? So all the gopis and Balaram, they were drinking this intoxicating beverage. And then Balaram wanted to sport in the Jamuna with all the gopis. So he called the Jamuna because she was a little ways away. And Jamuna, she didn't come. So he became a bit angry. So he took his plow, you know, he's a club and a plow. So he took his plow and he got her and he, you know, and so in the Jamuna at that point, there's lots of different rivers, okay? And she begged for forgiveness. She said, oh, I didn't really realize who you are. And she offered many prayers, okay? And after that, then Balaram and the gopis, they performed Ras Leela. Now, there's a big question here. This can be a controversy. First of all, how could Balaram chastise a Jamuna, who is a beloved Saki of Krishna? She's actually the manifestation of Vishaka. How could he do this? Well, it wasn't this Jamuna that he brought. There's also the Jamuna, who's a manifestation of that Jamuna, who is the wife of the ocean. And she was running towards the ocean, and she just didn't want to come. So it was that Jamuna that he brought, not the Jamuna that's a manifestation of Vishaka. This is explained in the Vrajmandal Parikrama book by Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. Now the other controversy is, how could he sport in Ras Leela with Krishna's gopis? Now there's different explanations of this. One explanation is that he didn't sport with Krishna's gopis, with his own gopis. Now another explanation is that, and they're from different perspectives and they're from different of our acharyas. It's a Balaram, he's a manifestation of Krishna. So in Ras Leela, in the spiritual world, there's no lust, there's no impurities. So it's not like the mundane Ras Leelas, the dancing in the material world. But what was happening is that they were dancing, and then Balaram took the gopis, to each one to an individual kunj, and then he called Krishna. And Krishna came and enjoyed with the gopis. There's that explanation. Anyhow, when we become purified and qualified, we will understand this, and we will actually have witness, and we will understand what is happening. But at this point, we're really not qualified to understand so much of the spiritual world, because there's no lust, there's no envy, there's no impurities there, and we're only used to a world full of all kinds of impurities. So, yeah. Even in the, there's a Leela at Govardhan, is Sankachuta. When Sankachuta, the lusty man, somehow Yogamaya lets him in, and he sees the gopis, and Krishna and Balaram and all the gopis are having Holi. And so Balaram is there. And Sankachuta, being envious, he's a friend of Kamsa, he gets envious. So why are they enjoying with Krishna? And so when Krishna goes into some kunj, then he starts to steal the gopis. Now, how is this? Well, it's a pastime of Krishna. And then Krishna leaves the gopis with Balaram. How is this? You see, but anyhow, when we are more purified, we will understand. Even Sankachuta, he's carrying Radharani. How is this? But this is pastimes for the pleasure of Krishna, and they're orchestrated by Yogamaya herself. So, but anyhow, this whole pastime of Balaram having Raslila, there is nothing improper in it. And one day we will understand what really happens when we're qualified. So on this day also, on Thursday, on Purnima, it was the Vasanti Ras of Krishna. Now Vasanti Ras is a little different than the autumnal Ras that is during Kartik, at the beginning of Kartik. This Ras is performed not here at Vamsivat on the Jamuna, it's performed at Govardhan, at a place called Chandra Sarovar, Parasoli. And maybe some of you have been to Chandra Sarovar. And it's in the springtime, the Santi Ras. And it's a night of Brahma. And what happened? Why is it called Chandra Sarovar? Because the moon, the full moon was coming, and when the full, Chandra Dev, of course Chandra Dev is a demigod, you know. When he was seeing the Ras Lila, he became so stunned, he stayed in one place for the whole night. And so now, and he was reflected in the Kund, and all the gopis were dancing under the full moon. They were so happy. So it's called Chandra Sarovar. So the speciality of this Ras is that, and Lord Chaitanya even cites this Ras as the proof that Radharani is number one. And it can be in the, in the conversation between Rai Ramananda and Mahaprabhu, Mahaprabhu is citing this Ras as evidence. We won't go into that, I'll just tell the pastimes. But if you want, you can read in the talks of Rai Ramananda. They're talking about this Vasanti Ras. In the part where they're talking about Radha Tattva and then up into Vilasta, up like this. So what happens is Krishna, of course, is dancing with all the gopis, and Radharani becomes very angry. And in the autumnal Ras, she secretly leaves. But in the spring Ras, in front of everyone, she walks out in Man. She just walks out. She leaves. And so Krishna's very, very upset, right? And everything stops, so the gopis are upset. Then Krishna, of course, leaves and goes and looks for Srimati Radhika. And so then all the gopis start looking for Krishna. And then right near Chandra Sarovar is a place called Paita. I probably don't say it right. It means here, Paita, Paitagan. And the pastime there is that Krishna's hiding, and actually he's feeling so much separation from Radharani that he's just weeping and crying and he can't find her. But all the gopis are coming, and they finally see him. And he's a little bit worried, so what does he do? He manifests 2 more arms, so he has his 4-arm form of Narayan. Isn't it there? And the gopis that are searching for him, not Radharani, they just see Narayan and they offer their obeisances. Please bless us so we can find Krishna. And he tricks them, and they go on. But when Srimati Radhika, because she's also, by this time, she's missing Krishna, so she's looking for him. When he sees her coming and the gopis with her, what happens? He cannot maintain his 2 other arms. They come into his, what do you call this, abdomen? No, is this abdomen? Okay, they come into his peta, whatever you call it. They come in, that's why it's called Petagon. And there's a beautiful deity of Narayan there, black, he's so beautiful there. And there's a Narayan Kund and another Kund, I forget what the name of it is. And Krishna says to Srimati Radhika, I can't live without you. I'm only performing Ras for you. I can't, so please never leave me like this. Don't go into man like this. And Srila Bhaktivedanta Bhartimar made a very beautiful observation about this, or on this pastime. He said, just see, this proves that if you go before Radharani, if you don't follow Srimati Radhika, you won't get 2-handed Krishna. You'll get Narayan. But if you follow Anugatya of Srimati Radhika, then you get Braj Krishna. Like this. Beautiful point, huh? Like this. So we need to follow in the Anugatya of Srimati Radhika, and especially of Lalita, Vichaka, Rupa Manjari like this. Then we can see Braj Krishna. So this pastime, and this pastime is very special. It is written about in Jayadev Goswami's Gita Govinda. This is the topmost literature. And this literature has been presented by Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj, but one has to be very careful. There's an introduction by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur there that speaks about the importance of this literature, but also the importance of how to enter this. Also, Srila Narayan Maharaj himself has an introduction. Because when I first joined in 1972, ISKCON, at first in our songbook we had, of course we always had the Das Avatar song by Jayadev Goswami, but we also had Shrita Kamala. But after a while, Prabhupada wouldn't even let us sing that song. Because we had had some problems. We'd had the Gopi Bhava Club, and we'd had so many things that Prabhupada could see we were not qualified yet. We were not qualified to enter into these higher topics, because we were just coming out of being hippies, you know, intoxication, illicit sex, so many things. So he did not let us sing. And so some devotees, they, of course, secretly. But I know for myself, what that did for me was actually what Prabhupada wanted it to do. I was very fortunate. I just started praying, well, I hope one day I can become qualified. Let me somehow become qualified so one day I can sing these songs and I can read these things. And of course, gradually, the purification comes, and then I met my Shiksha Guru, Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami, and under his guidance, you know, and I also been practicing so long, then I was more qualified to be able to sing Shrita Kamala and eventually read Gita Govinda like this. And I must say, I have read the Gita Govinda, and I must say, even though it's very, very high and very intimate, I never feel lusty. It's actually purification. If coming under proper guidance, it cleanses the lust from our heart, because it's actually not a lusty affair. It's Radha and Krishna's vilas, like this. So this is the Vasanti Ras. And also on Thursday, it was the appearance day of Shamananda Prabhu. And Shamananda Prabhu is the disciple of Hridayananda Goswami. No. Is it Hridayananda? Something like that. No, Chaitanya. Hridaya Chaitanya. I knew I was close. Hridaya Chaitanya, that's right. Or something like this. And he was in Sakiras. And so then Shamananda Prabhu came to Vrindavan. I think he was sent by his guru to Vrindavan. And he took shelter of Jiva Goswami, along with Narottam Das Thakur and Srinivasacharya, 10 Goswamis. And by the mercy of Jiva Goswami, he was asked to sweep at Jaro Mandal over here. This place is a pastime place here. And he was sweeping early in the morning, and we all pretty much know the pastime. He found an ankle bell. And Jiva Goswami told him, if you find anything, refuse to give it to anyone but its owner. So 2 young ladies came. Actually, they were Lalita and Vishaka, and they asked him, oh, did you find something? Our mistress, she has lost something. He says, can you give it to us? And he said, no. You bring your mistress, I'll give it to her. And they were chatting. Oh, you're just a lusty boy. You just want to see girls, you know. And they were really, but he said, no. So finally, Shrimati Radhika herself came and gave him mercy, and she put the ankle bell on his forehead, and that's why they have their tilak. It's a little different, and it's bona fide, like this. So he's very special, and he has his Radha Shyama here, and his one of his foremost disciple was Rasikananda Prabhu, a very exalted devotee. So, Jai Shamananda Prabhu ki Jai. It was also the appearance day of one other exalted devotee. I mean, what a special day! Vamsi Vadanandana, something like that, Goswami, and he is the incarnation of Krishna's flute. The incarnation of Krishna's flute. And he was there in Navadvip, and after Lord Chaitanya took sannyas, he was asked to take care of Sachimata and Vishnupriya. So he served Sachimata and Vishnupriya there at the Yoga Peeth, along with Ishan, like this. I don't know so much about him, but this is what he did. So we beg all their mercies, even a few days late, doesn't matter. It's all eternal. And I want to say one more thing before we start into the Madhurya Kadambini. And today is a very special part of the Madhurya Kadambini. I think it will be a few days. Very special, very deep, and very important. But when we're talking about Braj, we have to understand the different dimensions and what Braj really is. Braj is a transcendental spiritual, eternally existing Dham, the place of Radha and Krishna's pastimes. One time, when one of my friends and I went to see Srila Narayan Maharaj, and we asked him about, there's this map of Braj. I have it on my wall here. There's many maps of Braj, and one we had seen was a map, it looked like Braj in a lotus, right? And on one edge of the lotus was Mathura. And we said, well, how can Mathura be here? Mathura's, how is this? I don't know about that map. I think that one's a little different, but the one I had a real, there was really like a lotus, right? And right on one petal was a dot, and it said Mathura. And so we asked, so how is Mathura here? And he said, because you have to understand that Braj is made of bhav, Madhurya bhav, and all the different, there's Dasya, Sakya, Vatsalya, Madhurya, it's all bhav. And so the doorway to Braj is Mathura. Mathura is half Aishwarya and half Madhurya. And then it's not like he pointed to the sky, he said, like when you look in the sky at night and you see the stars, they seem like they're all the same distance apart, but actually some are far, it's dimensional, right? He said, so that's the same in Braj. Like the closest would be Gokul Mahavan. This is where he's a baby, Krishna's a baby, Raval. And then a little bit higher, you might come to Vrindavan here, a lot of Pokunda, Kumar, and then up to some Kishore. And then you go up to different places, up in Barshana, Nandagram, and finally Govardhan, Radhika, but it's all different bhavs. They're different bhavs. Each place has a bhav. And each devotee has their bhav. Each gopi has their own bhav. Like this in bhavs, if you ever study bhavs in the, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu or the Ujjwala Nilamani like this, Jaiva Dharma, even within bhavs there's sanchari bhavs, there's so many different bhavs that are coming up and down and they're temporary but they come up and down. And there's a sthai bhav, everyone has a permanent bhav. But within that there's the waves of all the sanchari bhavs and the, the anubhavs, sattvika bhavs. So we don't understand. We're used to this bhav of the material world, where there's a beginning, middle, and end, and you die and you get born, and it's fear of death, and you can measure. There's width, height, length. You measure it. That's it. Like this, our minds are not even really capable of comprehending bhav. We can hear about it. We can accept it. And by constant practice of sadhana bhajan, then gradually, our mind becomes free from its impurities and from its cage, you might say, the box of the material conceptions. So finally, little by little, we can understand, with nishtha, ruchi, shakti. But finally, when the level of bhav comes for us, when we've been practicing, and when bhav is given to us,
Yes, finished.
Okay, Braj being a bhav, it's madhurya, it's sweetness, it's kripamayi, full of mercy, rasamayi. This is the mood of Braj. And for us, as sadhaks, I know I'm not a pure devotee yet, I'm still an aspiring sadhak, aspiring Rupanuga Gaudiya Vaishnava. What does this mean? This means that I am lower than even a speck of grain, a speck of dust in Vrindavan. Because everything in Vrindavan is 100% pure. Sat Chitananda, full of prem, full of bhav. And here I still have Anartha. So even the specks of dust here? What to speak of the grass? What to every living entity in Braj is guru, actually, is superior. So to enter Braj, we must be very, very humble. Humble. And very, very taking the mercy, wanting the mercy of even the specks of dust. That's why Srila Narayan Maharaj, I know when I first met him around 1989, but I think it was in 1991, when I might have said this already. A friend of mine, a god sister of mine, we went to see him and we asked him how we could improve our bhajan. And he said, first of all, he said to chant Radha Kripa Kataksha, which we had never heard of before. But at that time, so we started doing that. And he said, and take one of these brooms that are stick brooms. Most people have seen, they're made kind of a sticks, you know? They're in most of the holy places, they're laying around and they sweep with them, the sweeper ladies. He said, you go to all the holy places and you sweep. And you chant, and you roll in the dust. And you pray. Because the dust is full of bhav, full of the pastimes, the bhavs of the pastimes, full of the foot dust of Radha and Krishna and all the gopis. Mother Yashoda, everyone. The dust is so potent and so merciful. You see? And for me, because I don't get out much anymore, I'm still doing it here. Sweeping the kunj. I do it. We're still sweeping, hoping for the dust, right? So Vrindavan is a very, very special place. Also, it's described by Srila Prabhupada and all of our acharyas that you have the Vaikuntha planets, right? Below that is the Brahma Jyoti, and then you have Shiva's Dham. What's it called? I forgot. And he has the place of Shiva. Yeah, and then you have, and you have Parvati, and then you have the material world, coming from Karana Vishnu, and the Raja River is there. But once you get to Vaikuntha, it's Vaikuntha, right? It's Sat Chit Ananda. And you have Lakshmi Narayan there, and in different planets you have all the incarnations and their Shaktis. The incarnations are not alone. Like you have Lakshmi and Vraha. You have Lakshmi Nrsinga. It's always, manifestations of Radha and Krishna, Sita Ram. So then next, after Vaikuntha, Lakshmi Narayan, where? It's Ayodhya, Sita and Ram, right? And then what? Then you have Krishna Loka. And what's first? Dwarka. And Mathura, and then Braj. But there's a part of Braj that, see, the terms they sometimes use differently. So, but anyhow, in one place it's called Golok. And in this part, when it's called Goloka, meaning this, it's that Radha and Krishna is really kind of worshipped like Lakshmi Narayan. It's Radha and Krishna, but it's formal. And Prabhupada used to say, our deity worship is like that. We are not Raganuga, so our deity worship of Radha and Krishna, which we were doing from day one, is more in this Golok. It's almost like Lakshmi Narayan, very formal. We don't know much. It's not spontaneous, you see. But once there, then you have what's called, in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, is Braja Vrindavan, Nanda Gokul, like this. There's different names, Sweta Dweep even. This is Braj of the Raganuga, of Rag, of Ragatmika, where Nanda and Baba, it's all spontaneous, love and affection. And then you have, like we were talking about, then you have Nandagram, you have Barshana, like this. And that most innermost confidential part, that is Govardhan, Radhakund, Shamakund, Javed, like this, Mansra. This is the place of the Vilas of Radha and Krishna. The innermost, secretest, very secret, Guha, Rahasya, very confidential, like this. There is a certain mood like that. And what is this? Shringaras, Parakya Bhav. And it's eternally existing. It's not that it's only in Prakat Vrindavan. Now, there's a controversy here too. Some people think this is only in Prakat Vrindavan. It's not in the apricot, but it's not true. Everything is there, is coming from apricot. But we can't really understand how. We cannot understand it. But this topmost, most confidential, Shringaras, Parakiyabhav, the most amazing thing is that Mahaprabhu, being Krishna himself, having the mood of Srimati Radhika, who is most compassionate, has brought this to the material world in this Kali Yuga, and is giving us a chance to serve this mood as maidservants of Srimati Radhika, and to enter into these topmost pastimes as manjaris, as maidservants of Srimati Radhika. It's astonishing. He is Parma Karun, the most merciful. He wants to share the topmost, the most secret part of his own home. You know, this is his home. Braj is his home. It's not a dham, it's not a tirtha, it's his home. This is where he makes his youth, his eternal youthful form, successful with the gopis. Like this. And we're being allowed to not just stay in Golok or in Vaikuntha or in the material world, Devi Dham. We're being allowed, if we take shelter of Mahaprabhu and his representatives, his associates. So that's why, coming back to Madhurya Kadambini, this Madhurya Kadambini is essential for us to be able to one day enter into these most confidential pastimes and to enter in Krishna Loka, to attain our spiritual forms in Bhav, have our potential become a manifest reality. Because in this book, and by the mercy of our Guru Parampara, we're understanding what are the obstacles, what blocks us so that we cannot proceed. Our bhakti lata cannot grow. We can't proceed forward. So today, we have a little bit of time. Today, we're discussing the fourth Anartha. The first was Anarthas coming from pious activities. The second was Anarthas coming from impious activities. The third was Anarthas coming from aparads, which we just finished. And the one today is Anarthas coming from improper practice of bhakti. Because if you're doing bhakti properly, you're not going to have it. So it's from the imperfect practice of bhakti. And this one is very, very serious. What it is that when we're practicing bhakti, we're hearing and chanting, what happens if we're not practicing properly? These upasakas, they're called parasitic creepers. Do you know what a parasite is? A parasite comes, like you can get them when you're in water. They come, they're little animals, and they get onto you and they suck your blood. You can even die from them if you have them all over you. They suck out your blood and they just get on you like this. Parasites, parasitic creepers. They come and they attach themselves to the wish-fulfilling creeper, the bhakti. They attach themselves and they suck out the sap of the creeper. The creeper is growing along, and we're hearing and chanting, we're watering the creeper, and these parasitic creepers come along and they take in the water, and they're taking the nourishment, and the creeper dies or gets stunted, it can't go. So what are these? The desire for wealth, the desire for adoration, the desire for pratista, worship, even for sense gratification and liberation. These come. And we have to be very, very careful. If we don't detect them, spot them, when they first come, then we're finished. Because what happens is, as we're practicing bhakti, if we don't do that, the water will make them stronger and stronger and stronger. You see? And our desire for bhakti will disappear. Completely disappear. This is really a disaster. This is a big blockage. And as we know, and we've heard from our acharyas, what is this biggest parasitic creeper that is actually the root cause of all other anarthas? Pratishta, the desire for name and fame. Pratishta is called a shameless outcast dancing woman. That's in Manashiksha, right, isn't it? Shameless outcast dancing around, right? Yes. Dog eating. She's eating the dog meat of fame, like this. It's repugnant, you know, like this. So that's why I know Srila Narayan Maharaj once told me. He said, "You want to do bhajan, but you can't. Krishna wants you to do, but you can't. But there's one thing you can do. You can learn to be honest. And then Krishna and Guru will do everything." So this is where honesty is so important. We have to honestly be every day. I think it was Bhakti Vinod Thakur said every day and every Ekadasi, we should take, we should examine our heart and our progress in bhakti. Honestly. And if we're honest, we'll see, there's envy, there's lust, there's greed, there's anger, I'm afraid of death, you know, there's old age and disease and I'm affected, and on and on and on. I eat too much, I sleep too much, whatever it is. And also the 5 obstacles, I just sleep, you know, even when there's no problems, I can't do it, I just don't want to do it. You know, so many things, isn't it? So honestly, and then what is the answer? Humility, like we were talking about. The only way to enter Braj is by humility. When we are humble and honest, then we see, I'm so tiny, I'm so insignificant, you know? And actually, how is it that I could be famous? Anything coming to me has come from my Guru and Krishna. Guru and Krishna have given everything that's spiritual. And the rest is my own conditioning. All the garbage, all the bad qualities, this is what I brought with me. This is my conditioning from unlimited lifetimes, the ignorance that I got when I came to the material world. And for many lifetimes I've just been going on with all this karma, you know, thinking I'm a this, I'm a that, and doing all kinds of unpalatable activities and hurting other people like this. This is mine, I'm bringing this. So I'm worthless, I'm insignificant. But now, because of Sri Guru and the Vaishnavas, Krishna, you know, I'm not so envious. You know, I'm being able to hear and chant the holy name like this. This is all coming. Is it me? No. It's a gift that's been given to me by Guru and the Vaishnavas, by Mahaprabhu. These are gifts. There's jewels that have been placed in my heart. But they're not mine. Only in the sense they're mine, in that when someone gives you something and you're supposed to take care of it, right? Like this. But it wasn't yours. It's wealth that came from someone else that they are giving you to see how are you going to use it? What are you going to do with it? Are you going to take care of it carefully and nourish it? Like if you have a plant, you're going to nourish it with the proper water like this? Only in that sense is it ours. We're the caretakers of something that's been given to us. So this is humility. I am not, you know, really, anything that's coming is coming from Guru and Krishna. All the positive, all the auspiciousness, like this. That is Trinadapi. You know, we don't want any respect. We don't hanker for respect. As soon as we want any respect in any situation, we're finished. We only want to give respect to others. If something's coming to us and we want respect, even in small things, you might run into someone and nobody even knows about it and they just kind of disregarded you, and in your heart you feel, she was very rude, you know, she didn't give me any respect. Now nobody knows about it. It's just you and that person. But just that alone, that desire for respect, because it means we're misunderstanding reality. What is reality as stated by our Adi Guru, Lord Brahma? Tat tena kampam sushamikshimano, meaning everything that's coming to me is due to my past activities We've talked about this before. This is the verse. So one has to wear around his neck, along with Trinadapi Sunichena, if one wants to do bhajan. We cannot do bhajan unless we accept that person wasn't so nice to us because we weren't nice to someone else in the past. We deserve it. And we take it humbly. We say, thank you very much, Krishna. Thank you so much. And we go on serving with love and affection. Like this. That is how we'll be able to do bhajan. And this is like being honest and cutting that parasitic creeper that came, acknowledging it and going, whoa, wait a minute. That was the desire for pratishta, the desire for fame. No one knew it, oh, whoa, look at my false ego. Look at this. Actually, I've done that. So I shouldn't complain. I shouldn't want fame. I shouldn't want someone to treat me properly. I haven't treated others properly. This is my token punishment for my past activities. You see, this is that honesty, and then you cut the creeper immediately. If not, then the next person comes, and the next person, and you're saying, oh, look at him, he paid his full dandavats to me. Oh. He finally understood I'm a Prabhupada disciple, you know. Wow, you know. I think let's pat that one on the head. This one didn't pay him back, you know. And and then what happens? Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is explaining all kinds of duplicit activities. Dupliciousness in our mind comes. Deceit and duplicity. And we act one way outside and then we're feeling another way, isn't it? We wear our kantimala, we have our japa, we do everything and we cover it all up. But inside, what's going on inside? We're thinking, oh, now that person, he's coming and he's got lots of money. And I just live by donations. Let's if I really, maybe he'll give me a big donation. The desire for wealth. And then you only preach to wealthy people. The poor people, well, Haribo. There's wealth, desire for wealth. The desire for being worshipped. Oh, shh, bathing your feet. Oh, isn't this nice? And you're envious. Envy comes because, well, they're not washing my feet, but they're washing her feet. Ooh. Oh, no. See, envy, because who is it? I think it's Srila Gurudev in his commentary on this particular, it's text 4 of the third shower. He gives a very vivid example. He said that pratishta is like an outcast dancing person, right? So you've got this shameless outcast person, and this person comes together with his favorite beloved, which is matsarya, envy. They come because they're natural beloveds. He says it's even a conjugal relationship. And they get together, pratishta and matsarya, envy. And what do they beget as children? Twins, himsa, violence, and irsha, which is jealousy. That's, you see? Now, what is the answer? If we go to Manas Shiksha of Raghunath Das Goswami, he explicitly talks about this, doesn't he? He talks about deceit and duplicity. He talks about pratishta. And what is the answer? We have to recognize it, and we have to consciously, very heartily, very strongly call out to who to help us. Because we're so tiny and insignificant. We're overcome. The thugs have come and they're like beating us up, and they're taking everything, which is our wealth of good qualities, our wealth of bhakti. So we call out to the powerful commanders and chiefs, the generals in the army of Mahaprabhu. Who is that? Nitai, Advaita, Srivas, Gadadhar, Ishwarpuri, Madhavendra-puri, Haridas Thakur, Swarup Damodar, Rai Ramananda, Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami. We have to call out to them for help. We have to beg, and then when it comes, we have to take it. When the help comes, we have to take it. This is the thing. We may be calling out, but when the help comes, we think, I don't really want to go that way because then I'm not going to get this. No, that's why we have to be situated in our sadhan bhajan very strongly, and we have to understand what is the reality of the material world. It's an illusion. It's a complete illusion. There is no happiness here. Pratishta, fame, nothing here will bring us happiness. We have to hear from these commanders in chief, and we have to believe it and have faith. Wow, there is no happiness here. See, we're thinking there might be a speck of happiness at least, but there is nothing. The only happiness is eventually attaining prema, attaining our spiritual bodies, becoming who we really are, and serving Radha and Krishna, if that's our ras, serving Mother Yashoda, if that, whatever it is, but in who we really are. Our Siddhadeya. That is the only happiness, and that's who we are. We are actual, eternal servants of Krishna. And as servants of Krishna, if we desire anything else or do anything else, it's called cheating, duplicity. As soon as we desire anything else than serving, and right now it's serving Guru and Vaishnavas, because we're not qualified to serve Radha and Krishna. We serve Radha and Krishna through Guru, and the Vaishnavas, Mahaprabhu, Radha and Krishna combined. Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan movement. Doing our sadhan bhajan and assisting in jiva doi, saving the conditioned souls. Without any of our own desires, only for their pleasure. We're being trained, we're being purified. Because when we have separate interests, that is duplicity, and that means those upasakas, those parasitic creepers, are coming, and they're just so happy, and they're going, woo, they're sucking out all the life of the bhakti lata. And they will become flourished, and all of a sudden the bhakti lata will just, where to go? And you have no desire for bhakti. And we've seen this happen. We've seen it happen. It's so sad. And we shouldn't think, oh, no, that can't happen to me. No. It's very serious, actually. Extremely serious. Like Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayana Goswami Maharaj in his commentary here, he's saying that one should stop and honestly give up the desire for respect. And only offer respect to everyone else, and forever give it up. That is the only way. Eternally, no more desire for respect. And who is our guru? Our guru is Rupa Goswami, right? And Sanatana Goswami. Raghunath, just see how humble they were. One time, a Digvijay came to Vrindavan. A Digvijay is one of these scholars and pundits, and they want to be the most famous pundit in all of India, Bharat Vars. And he was going around getting signatures and defeating in debate. And he came to Braj. And he asked, because he heard that they were great scholars and like this. And he said, I want to debate with you. And we don't have time for this. We'll just sign. Yes, you defeated us. They didn't get. They were too absorbed in their bhajan. You know, they were pure. They don't care. Okay, if you want to be number one, you can be number one. No problem. Of course, later Jiva Goswami defeated him as a disciple. Didn't let that happen. But this is the example. Yes, like this. No envy, no lust. So we have to be very careful, very careful, and practice what our gurus, Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, Raghunath Das Goswami, what they've given in their, you might say, their Bhagavad Gita of higher level. Because we have Bhagavad Gita, we have Bhagavatam, but then we have what? Upadeshamrita, Mana Shiksha. These are essential for wanting to enter into Braj Bhakti, the practice of Braj Bhakti. We have to take them seriously, and we have to try and follow them. Every single bit. Vacho vegam, manasakroda vegam. And that means we. It's not that we can just lay in bed and think, oh, well, kripa, give me kripa. You know, no. We have to practice. And we have to learn to be honest. We have to really pray to have the strength and the energy to be able to be honest and be truthful. Because the truth is, we're so tiny and insignificant as spirits, Atma. We're so, it's like, if you study the chapter of Nityananda Prabhu in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, you start to understand how insignificant you are. I mean, in the material world, there's unlimited universes. We won't even go up. We'll just come down. The material world, unlimited universes coming out of the pores of Mahavishnu. Unlimited universes. And within each universe, unlimited planetaries, unlimited Atmas. Unlimited. And we're on one tiny little planet, and then on that planet, when you start to think about who we really are, in the material sense, we are nothing. We're so small. So the only significance is on the spiritual platform. You see, as servants of Krishna. Then it doesn't matter how small we are. The grains of sand, everyone's important. Everyone's serving Krishna. Everyone's acting harmoniously together. Even if it appears that they're fighting, it's all for the pleasure of Krishna. Because Krishna is the center. Krishna is the center. Like this. There was a nice article by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. It was about Guru. And it was saying, when I hear the glories of your Guru, I hear the glories of my Guru. There's all completely harmonious. Why? Because Krishna is the center. Krishna is the center. See? So we have to put Krishna as the center and pleasing him. Like this. So I think we'll stop here. We'll speak a little bit more about this text for a little bit next time. It's so important. Does anyone have any question or comment? Or any questions or comment? No? No. Okay. So we will have kirtan.
Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Giridhari Radha Giridhari Radhe.
Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada.
Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada.
Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva, Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva.
Jaya Gurudeva, Jaya Gurudeva, Gurudeva, Jaya Gurudeva.
Hari Bol,
Hari Bol,
Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol,
Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol. I thought of something that I should have said and I want to say it before because I might forget it next week. Because we may think, because one thing that comes with this this parasitic creepers is violence to others. And we can think, well, I don't do that. I don't go around killing people. But even talking prajalpa, just gossiping is violence to others. We are doing violence every time we're even just talking gossip. Because that is actually, disturbing the consciousness, our consciousness and their consciousness. And there's so many ways that actually we do violence to others, not just by, stabbing them with a knife, speaking words that are just nonsense words, or when we fault finding and criticizing. This is violence to ourselves and to others. So I just wanted to say that because it's a very important point. Okay, Vancha Kalpaturisa, Kripa Sindhu Vyevita, Patitanam Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo, Namo Namaha. Jai Madhurya.